rear faceplate would be added on. So since this would be for good, so I'll be taking out all the 4 bolts uh, from the rear and make a modification to add on a longer bolt, so it could pass through both the new rear face all the way to the motor housing. So the original one was at this length, and it would be replaced with this one now. So the added length would get the job done, and mounting the faceplate up. So that's the last bolt out. The new faceplate. Well, the color looks a bit because I only have, that's the only color I have left for now on the paint. So very quickly mount this on, replace it with the new bolts, and that's how it would sit. So after a couple of hours shaping, grinding, trimming, whatever, this is how I came about. Plus be adding a sort of reinforced angle, something like this. So now, since everything is held down in bolts, so go ahead and tag weld, maintain the angle, and start from there. So the new mounting, rear mounting is done. So that's how it is. Only thing left now is give it some paint, give it a few days, and will be used on the motor as soon as possible. Painted it, letting it dry out in the sun. So the rear mounting plate. So come here, I actually wanted to start working on the mount for the controller. So this is the controller that I'll be using, Curtis. So what I've actually bought the heatsink that EVA sold, but it's not to my liking. It's actually very thin, and that was my last choice. Actually, I found something better. This I came across my workplace. They were actually chucking all this away. These are pure heatsink. We have some really heavy industrial stuff that this sits on. The whole PC board thing sits onto this heatsink. It's actually a servo amplifier heatsink. So, and I've seen it initially. Normally it is Curtis controller. You have a side hinge where it's mounted on, so it sits on. But unfortunately, if you can see, it's just a little bit, not say a little bit, it's just way much more. I need about 1.5. If you can see from the side, I at least need I need to cut half of this, and this would go in order to fit in the hinges. So I need 1.5 if I would do it that way. So what I found out is, when I flip it around, Curtis controller, I flip it around, you can see actually there are 6 mounting sort of holes, which I now take it out on the sun. It's actually threaded screw, and assuming that I actually could use back all these 6 screws here, and this 6 screw I did a template with a piece of cardboard earlier. That's the template of the 6 holes that I've drawn out, made the holes, and put it on the aluminum. It came out that, so I've traced out the 6 holes onto the heat sink. It's actually a very tight fit. So that's the one of the holes. Hope you can see it. That's the other one. So instead of using 1.5 for each controller, I assume if I were to use the smaller brackets as the mounting points, there's one which I've done the marking, there's the second one. I don't know guys, I try to get this on video as clear as I could. So there's actually a total 6. It's right at the corner. Since this is only a hole, the braided part is on the controller, so I think this might just work, and I saved another one, maybe for someone who needs a proper heat sink. These are really heavy stuff, heavy heat sink, no problem at all. Mounting is simple. I leave the hole around, so it should be a nice heat sink for the controller. After drilling a few holes on it, it would more or less look like this after the mounting during the installation. So that's how the controller would look like with the aluminum heatsink. When I worked for about a couple of hours without the camera, because it was just flat out on the battery, so I had to send it to put it onto the charger, and I charged it for a while with a couple of hours. So what I've done is the half shaft bracket is installed, plus the half shaft is installed. Now I'm working on the compressor placing, and it's actually the motor now rest on the original mounting. So this is the original mounting from the cross member on the gearbox. There's another one at the back there, and the third one is the one that I've fabricated half of it, which reused the original mounting points. So in other words, it's not going anywhere. Sorry, not going anywhere. It's it's very steady. So now I am still cracking my head on the placement of the actually I did that, but without the pipe. I just almost barely squeezed through here with the belts. So it's still very tight fit there. So here we are. Hopefully before the end of the day I could get the batteries out, do unregulated spin. I've rearranged the compressor a little bit so it won't take up too much space or cover up the motor too much. So I've reconfigured it a little bit, and I've charged up old battery. It's not very good, but it should turn the motor a little bit. So let's give it a shot. So there you go, guys. It's a bit noisy because there is basically a dry gearbox. There's nothing, not even the old oil in the gearbox, so it's a bit noisy and a bit rough, but it's free of vibration. I would say it's much more better than the combustion one, so we'll get on from there. Fill up a little bit of oil in the gear case, so I'm running it with some cranky old 24 volt. Sounds better than the batteries going away.